Hello and welcome to the Daylight Midnight Show. Now first things first, I'm going to set the countdown timer on my computer here. If you don't know why I'm setting a countdown timer on my computer, I urge you to go and watch last week's show when it was all explained. This is a very fast moving feast, we don't have time to go back over things for stragglers. So that's sorted out, and I've just realised actually, I think this show is not sponsored. And I don't want to do any accidental endorsements, and I think you might be able to see the logo on the back of my laptop. So, I think I will cover it up. Paracetamol, might need those later. What I think this will work if I... Yeah, there we go. So let's try this. So let's write on here... Daylight Midnight. Makes sense, I think. So... Daylight... Midnight... Sorted. And let's stick that on there, and then I'm not advertising any computer. There we go, fantastic. So, that is first things first. Second things second, I shall introduce you to something that's going to appear on this show every week from now on, and it's right here on my desk. Now to you this will look like a normal massage ball that you can buy from any number of online retailers, and you can use it to loosen neck muscles or problems with your thigh. But that's not what this is. This is a very scientific device known as a gregometer. And what happens is I place the palm of my hand on top of this, and what it will do is it will read my pulse rate, my heart rate, my blood pressure, brain waves, creativity, depression levels, toxicity, all that kind of thing, and what it will do is it will throw that through a supercomputer and it will give you in one word the way I'm feeling and thinking today, and therefore what kind of show you might have. So we're going to give it a go, and if the technical side of this works, it will beam that message to a screen that I've got behind me. So I'll take a couple of deep breaths just to make sure this works. So get the oxygen levels going. So place that on the top there. I think if you roll it around slowly for about 3 seconds, I've been told by the manufacturer. And I think that's worked, so we should get a one-word message telling you what kind of show we're going to have. And the one word that sums up how I'm feeling today is... butterflies. High tech, right? See, those of you wondering what kind of budget we've got for this show, there's your answer, right there. So that's the gregometer there, that's going to be on the show at the start every week. Something else I'd like to introduce you to is my special brown folder. It's not a euphemism, I actually have a brown folder. So this is my special brown folder, and the idea with this is, as the weeks go by, obviously I'm going to be walking around and doing stuff, and I might have little ideas about things that I want to talk to you about. So I need a notepad with me to write them down in, and because I don't want to mix it up with other notepads that I have for other ideas, I decided to use this. Now, I'm not trying to be one of those people who has a big clipboard and then they think they're very important because they yes, look at me, I'm an under manager and I'm very, very important. I'm walking around with this, and not doing that. There's two reasons really. One is I stole this from an office I was working in years ago, and this is the first chance I've had to use it. And also this time of year it's nice to sit outside, mug of tea, deck chair, have this open on my lap, pen, notepad, and I can have it in front of me, move the bits of paper around, so I know exactly what I'm doing and I can make notes as I go along. It's not very organised, as you can see, but I have typed some of the bits up of things that I did want to talk to you about. So the first thing I've written down in my little folder that I wanted to talk to you about this week is the word feedback. Now this is my feedback about last week's show. You'll have your own opinions, but the first thing I noticed when I watched it back last week is there's a really strange sound quality to the whole video. And I need to explain that. This is a whole one-man operation. I'm doing this from my little office at home. So there's no soundproofing in here. I don't have a broadcast camera. I have a very simple handy cam that I got from the internet. There's no way of plugging a microphone into it. And the room that I'm in is the only room at home where we've got the space to do this. And it's got a very high ceiling. So the sound kind of echoes up there. So maybe I should have thought of that beforehand, but I didn't. We're committed now. Maybe in time, with budget and with me caring, we can put something across like a false ceiling, but for now I think this little bit of echo is just going to have to add a little bit of extra character to the show. I hope you don't mind. I hope we can work through it together. As I said, I might do something about it in the future, but the only other idea I had was to talk very loudly and very clearly to offset the fact that the sound is disappearing into the roof. But I don't want to sound like a teacher under any circumstances, so we'll just go with what we've got for now, if that's okay. The other bit of feedback I had is that I think last week I talked really quickly. I know I'm limiting myself to 10 minutes, but I don't need to garble quite as much as I did last week. Part of that was down to nerves. I think it was the first show. Part of it as well, I think, is going back to my radio days. Now, obviously, when you're on radio, all people have is your voice. And I forgot that this isn't like that. You know, I can sit here, I can move around, I can wave to you, I can show you things that are on my desk. I don't need to fill every second with my voice. And I think that was the habit I fell into last week, just that old routine that I was used to. So I'm going to try from now on to relax a bit, chill out, enjoy it, and not try and fill every second with stuff that's coming out of my mouth. I'll just do a little twitch, or wave at you, or show you something in the room. Or let you look around at this. Look at my lovely butterflies display. No expense spared. So that's my feedback from last week's show. I did have a question from somebody. They asked me, why now? So years after everybody else was trying to start stuff up on YouTube, years after anyone started making any money out of it, years after I finished on radio, why have I suddenly now decided to go back and do this kind of thing? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you as well with a little visual aid. This is genuine. This is my wall planner from last year. Now, I'm going to be quiet while I unravel this because it's going to be a bit noisy, but this is what I had up on my wall last year. Now, I might have to move that out of the way there. Now, this is kind of colour-coded. I get a bit anal about this. So I do lots of different things. This is just my outside work away from the stuff that I do at home. So I have different colours for different kinds of work. And I always leave January and February clear because that's like a writing time for me. I do a couple of school plays that are performed in the summer. There might be a pantomime, there might be other stuff I've got to write for later in the year. So I do that in the first couple of months. Normally by March, this bit in the summer starts to fill up. I get lots of bookings in for stuff over the summer holidays and around that. And then normally by this time of year, so the end of July, the rest of it fills up as well. So there's stuff around Halloween and you've got all these dots for Christmas stuff. So that was last year. Now I'm going to show you the 2020 edition, which as you can imagine, for most of us, has been slightly different. So this time I actually had quite a few things going on in January and February. And then here, this is the 13th and 14th of March. So the Friday and the Saturday I had two separate events that I took part in. And by then I already had these odd little things that were coming in for the rest of the year. So this point here, I believe, is when the lockdown was announced. And over the next week, everything else that is on here and all the stuff that I normally do that fills this up disappeared. I had phone calls or emails saying postponed, cancelled, can't happen, sorry, maybe next year. That was a fun week for me. So as you can see, I've got quite a lot of time on my hands. So that is why I've decided to do this show now. And the other thing I've got written down in here, now this is a bit of a strange one, but this will give you a bit of an insight into the way my mind works. And then if you like it, you can stick with us. If you don't like it, you can give up on the Daylight Midnight show for good. My son, who is 12, my youngest son, lost a tooth last Sunday. It had been wiggly for a couple of weeks, it was really annoying him, and it finally popped out last Sunday night, and he was overjoyed, so happy. And we did that thing that you always do as a family. We talked about the tooth fairy. Let's get that, we'll put it under your pillow, and you'll get some money for it, and that'll make up for all the pain you've had with wiggling it and not being able to eat for the past couple of weeks. The strange thing is, 24 hours before that happened, he hadn't been very well. We think he had a migraine, which he's had before, so he had a terrible headache, had to have a flannel over his eyes, felt really nauseous, fell asleep, woke up, was then sick a couple of times, and then started to feel better, which is quite common with people that have migraines. But the way my mind works, on Sunday night when his tooth fell out, I said, it's really strange, isn't it, that when your tooth comes out, we want to put it under the pillow for the tooth fairy. We don't do that when you're sick. When your child has a sickness bug, you're not sitting beside him going, come on little Johnny, throw up in the bag, we'll tie a knot in it and put it under the pillow for the vomit fairy. And it's just strange to me that these fairies seem to be very selective about what they're prepared to pay you for that comes out of your body. Now I said this to my son and my wife, who were both in the room on Sunday night, and my wife sat there with the usual horrified look she has on her face that kind of says, how did I end up with this guy and why am I still with him, and pass me the shotgun. And my son though bought right into it, and he said to me, even worse Dad, instead of a vomit fairy, imagine if you had a vomit bunny. So it's like the Easter Bunny, but instead of bringing chocolate round, it comes round and throws up around your house. And on Easter Sunday, instead of hunting chocolate eggs, you have to go around your garden with a bucket, clearing up piles of sick. Which reminds me of my 18th birthday party weekend, actually, but I'm going to save that story for another time. And that basically is everything that I had written down that I wanted to talk to you about this week. And that, my friends, is what we call perfect timing. I will see you next week. Have a great 7 days.